Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to Crochet Witch Tarot and a part 2 of sorts to the top 10 indie decks tag from Thea at Garden Goddess Tarot, talking today, oh my goodness, and Meg from Rose Honey Ritual. Now I am following in suit with Thea, who did a video on her kind of runner-up indie decks, because I don't know, it's interesting with my indie decks where I had 10 that it's like, okay, I'm gonna put these in my top 10 because they are favorites and I use them all the time. But I do also have a good chunk of indie decks here that I really love, and maybe it's just that for whatever reason I don't use them as much, or they are newer so I've not gotten to know them yet, but I just wanted to give them their time in the sun, you know? Alright, so we're gonna start with, I don't know, I do not think I've got 10 here. Maybe I did try to count, but I was kind of adding things. So these don't count in any sort of number. And they are my indie Lenormand decks. I do have, I've got a couple more indie Lenormand decks besides these two, but these are my favorites. So this is the Pink Sugar Lenormand. Now, Lenormand just isn't a system I use super often, and so that's why I didn't include it in my top 10, and also if it was a thing of like, oh, you can only keep 10. The Memento Mori Oracle does have Lenormand cards within it, so I could use it for that. But anyway, this is the Pink Sugar Lenormand by our very own Logan at Larkin Legend. And I really, really love this Lenormand deck. I love the way Logan has created these symbols and really brought it down to this kind of modern, straightforward world. Like, look at that letter. And I do really love the way that Logan interprets Lenormand in their guidebooks. I also have the Precious Possums, which is amazing, but this one I really like because I am definitely more of a beginner to Lenormand, and this one I really would say is a great beginner Lenormand deck, in my opinion, in my experience, where the Precious Possum goes a little bit in its own direction. But I really, really love this one. That is the Pink Sugar Lenormand. I mean, and that pink color, it's so good, it's so good. And the Nocturnal Garden Lenormand by Faina Laura. I am a Faina Laura fangirl. I love her artwork so much. So much. And this is the first deck of hers that I got, and it totally changed the game for me in terms of just being interested in learning Lenormand. And I've used this deck tons. I also really love her Yuletide Tales Lenormand, which actually I think even gets used just a little bit more. It's not, I like the Yuletide Tales because the cardstock is thinner, so you can riffle shuffle it. As you can see with this one, I tried, and it wasn't my best idea. Which I should have known, because it's not meant for that. It's a very sturdy cardstock, really kind of luxurious, but there's just something about her artwork that I really, really, really love. Another deck I could have shown here is her Wild Whiskers Oracle, which I do have. I just haven't used too much, but I really enjoy it from what I know of it. But oh, look at that fish card. I really love her work, and I love this Lenormand. So that is the Nocturnal Garden Lenormand. So I had to shout out some of my Lenormand decks because I just knew, just because of the system alone, they weren't gonna make a top 10 list, but they are still decks that I really, really love, with some great creators behind them. All right, now let's jump into the tarot and oracle decks I have here. So first up, I guess we should start with the Hellenic Oracle by Thea herself. And this one is newer to me, but I have just been so obsessed with it ever since I got it. maybe like a month or two ago. No, not 2 months, maybe a month ago now. And I've just really loved going through these cards. I loved the experience of watching Thea's walkthrough of this deck. It's just a magical masterpiece of a deity deck, and I have been really, really, really into deity decks recently, and this is just about the only one I have seen that includes both gods and goddesses to a really even level. And I think that is something just so special about it. And also this time period of art that Thea has chosen from, I'm pretty sure romanticism, question mark, pretty sure. That could be wrong. Second guessing myself. Anyway, regardless, it's just one of my favorite art periods. It's just so dreamy and beautiful. And so I really love using this deck for that reason too, especially since there are a lot of kind of classical art decks that I really enjoy, and this just pairs so perfectly with it. And honestly, I just feel like it pairs with everything, and yeah, I've been really enjoying this one. So that is the Hellenic Oracle. And let's just keep going on the tarot tuber train, why don't we? Because the next one I have is the Narrative Alchemy Tarot / Oracle, put out by Chrissy Bentley, that I just got this bag for. Is that not the prettiest? Oh my gosh. Okay, let me show you the deck so that you get my vision here with this bag. Come on, because it's got all the chakra colors. That's good. That's a good match. I'm very excited about it. But also very excited about this deck. This one I also got at the beginning of March, and I have spent a decent amount of time with this deck already because I just happened to order it right around the time when Chrissy was putting out her 7 decks for 7 chakras and introduced this whole practice idea that was so exciting. Like, it couldn't have been more of a perfect timing because it just was the reset that I needed. And yeah, I totally hopped on the train of doing that practice for a good few weeks and really enjoyed my time with it. I love the structure of this deck. The keywords that Chrissy picks are just fantastic. And I do have the printed version of the guidebook. It does come with a PDF one, but I got it printed through Lulu. And it just, the way that Chrissy writes and explains her thoughts behind these keywords is just magical. It's just, the way she writes, you could just tell she is so well spoken and so, like, she's put so much thought into each of these cards, and I think that's what really comes through whenever I'm using it, and it just really hits home every single time I use it. It's a really unique deck, and I just really, really enjoy it. So that is the Narrative Alchemy Tarot by Chrissy Bentley. I was good. I linked all the decks in the original video, and I'm going to really try for this one. I am doing quite the feat today. For the first time ever, I'm filming 2 videos in one day. So yeah, if that's the difference between the 2 videos, just know I ran out of steam. Okay, let's see. What do I want to show next? Oh, okay, this one like really waffled back and forth with some of the decks in that top 10 list, and it is the Walking Meditation Tarot. This has been such an intense favorite ever since I got it. And honestly, like, I couldn't even really fully tell you why it didn't make the top 10 list. I think it's just because, I don't know. I don't know. I don't use this one. Really, I don't use it as much as the decks that are on that list, really. But again, it really was close because I do use this one quite often and really love it. I think it's so beautiful. I love the brightness of the colors. I love the pips on the cards with these naturescapes in the background. I don't know. It just it gives me some feelings, you know? I believe these are all photographs that the creator, Danielle Norman? Is that her name? Yes, Danielle Norman took, and then she put this filter over the top to make it look kind of painterly, and it just is so magical. And we span all 4 seasons, so it doesn't feel like it's constricted for me into one time of the year. It's something I really can use all year round because there's going to be cards that relate to that, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's so magical. That's the only word I really feel like I have for it. Oh, I love this one so much. That is the Walking Meditation Tarot. And look at the edging. So good. It's just, it's such good quality. I can't say enough good things about that one. That's the phrase I was trying to say in the last video. Oh my goodness. I can't say enough good things. That's the phrase. Jeez Louise. I don't know about me sometimes. Okay. Next, we've got the Death Doula Oracle. This is a really special deck, in my opinion. This is an oracle all based around, I'm pretty sure, concepts learned in Death Doulaism. That's totally not a word, but I can't think of the terms. And really, it's the concept of this deck is to help you work through the many deaths you go through throughout your life. And even just that phrase, I'm pretty sure that it's like exactly what it says in the description of the deck. It is stuck with me because, I don't know, something about that concept just really blew me away, and this deck has also done exactly that. It's one I don't pull out super, super often because for me, it can tend to be a bit of a heavy reader. It really likes to call out, really call me out. Not to say that I avoid that, but you know. It's one of those decks that I pull it out every once in a while, get the card, and it's something that, like, it's almost like I need to sit with it for quite a while, and it's like that's the thing I'm working through for quite a while. But it really is different than anything else I have ever used and just fills this niche that I don't even know that I would have known I needed, but it's one of those decks where this is another one that really kind of teetered into that top 10 because it's just like there's nothing else I have that could replace this and what this does. So that is the Death Doula Oracle. I also like how the cards are pretty oversized. And the guidebook only gives maybe a sentence or two for each of the cards, but that's how good each of the sentences are. I don't know, I always think that's so interesting when a deck is like that. Because actually it is the same with this next deck I will show, and it is the Future Ancestors Tarot, which there is an extended guidebook now, but I do not have that one. Because I kind of just like the little fold out that comes with it that just gives a sentence, but it's like one of those where it's like the most groundbreaking sentence it feels like ever. So this is one that, again, I don't need to say that, I don't need to keep saying that, like, oh, it doesn't come out that often, because, like, obviously that's kind of why I'm showing it, where it's like I love it, but it doesn't come out as much as the others. But this fills a very specific role for me. And I didn't really totally realize that role until somewhat recently. And the only way I have to explain it is that using this deck feels to me like the experience of putting on noise-canceling headphones. I think it's because of the limited color palette, the softness of the figures and their expressions, and how it's mostly kind of black and white. I don't know. And the pictures aren't too busy. It's a deck that feels really not quiet, but quieting to me. So this is a deck I come to if I'm feeling really overwhelmed or really overstimulated. Something about using this deck just, it feels like I'm putting noise canceling headphones like on my brain or something. And it's so good at doing that, where it just totally brings me down from that kind of feeling, which is game changing, absolutely game changing. And I really do love having this deck, even if like just for that reason, but it does read well in so many other ways. And I do really love this deck. So that is the Future Ancestors Tarot. Alrighty. Next we have the Weaver's Oracle, which I think was hard to get for a bit, but that could be wrong. I think it's available. I don't know. I feel like I looked it up the other day and it was there. I don't know where I got the info that it might have been hard to get at one point. Anyway, besides the point, this is another one kind of similar to the Death Doula, where it's like nothing else I have does what this deck can do. But I very much pull a card every once in a while because I'm gonna have to sit with it for like a real long time and just let it simmer and really read the guidebook message. And sometimes, I guess I should preface that, where it's like something that you really have to sit with can a lot of times be a little bit daunting and overwhelming to me. So that's just a feature of sometimes why some of these decks don't come out too often. But whenever they do, it's such a rewarding experience. This one, it's just brings you into this, it feels very ancestral, and like you're getting these lessons through these really intricate stories, and it's a thinker, you know, it's a real thinker. And I love the artwork on this, and I love that we get these black backgrounds. Something about it, it feels almost like you're looking into this portal that all you can see is the figure of the woman shown here, which I think is it's just really neat. And this deck is hard to explain because it really, to me, feels all about the guidebook, which it's like each entry is probably 3 pages long and would take very long for me to read on camera, so I shan't. But trust me, it's a good one. Very, like divine feminine, but in this very primal way that I just don't really feel like any other deck I have hits on quite the same. So that is the Weaver's Oracle. Okay, and next we have the Taroki by Mr. Friborg. I just have been loving this deck so much. So much. It is a Marseille style deck, and this made me just so excited about reading Marseille. I love the pinks and blues and the skulls and skeletons going on. It's so interesting to look at and beautiful. And I don't even know if I have much more to say about it because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful deck, and it makes me feel really excited to read in this Marseille style way. And I do think it comes with a little guidebook. I tend to use other Marseille books with it though instead. But I do think it had a little guidebook. I'm not really sure where I put that now that I say it. But it's just, this is a good one. To me, it's really, not to say that like the creator doesn't have like interesting takes on the Marseille, but to me it's really all about the art and the art style with this one. And kind of with the Lenormand, where it's like the artwork and me loving it so much just got me excited about learning a new system, which is always a fun time, always a fun experience. So that is the Taroki by Mr. Friborg. Let's do, how many are we at right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, three more. So next I've got the Mons Tarot, and this is just a stand-in, I feel like, for both Joanna Nelson decks I have, because I do have the Whispering Spirits as well, and also really love that, and the, 3, and the Little Bug Oracle, also love that. Her artwork just makes me so happy. Like, it truly makes my heart smile. Ugh, I could look at these all day, and it's a particular mood that her decks hit that I need to be to kind of use them. But it's one of those things where it's like nothing else is gonna work. When I am in that mood to read, that very specific mood, I don't even know what it is, but it's just one of those things where it's like nothing else is gonna work. I have to have a Joanna Nelson deck. And I also really love, she creates her decks with Trish Sullivan, who writes the guidebooks, and I love the way Trish Sullivan, whoa, brain blank. The way Trish Sullivan interprets, there we go, there's the word, interprets the tarot and also the oracle cards. I just think she writes so fantastically well, so I always love using the little guidebooks with it. And just, I don't know, I don't even know what place these decks hit. It's like, I want to say inner child because that feels like the obvious answer, but it's almost not. Look at that though, are you kidding me? Oh, it's so good. The Mons Lenormand is coming out on Kickstarter soon, and I cannot wait. That is the Mons Tarot, and that just always needs to get a shout out because it's so good. It's so good. Alrighty. How many did I say that was at? Oh boy, gotta count again. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we got 2 more to show. We're just gonna show 2 more, I think. I've got, yeah, no, I think I can narrow this down to 2. Yes, okay. Next one we're gonna show is the Madame Lydia Wilhelmina's Tarot of Monsters, something. I will not type out the whole title below. I just call it Madame Lydia's Tarot because it's a long name, but man, do I love this deck. This one tends really to mostly get play in the fall, sometimes the winter, but I really enjoy the creepiness of this deck and the interesting kind of collage art style, but I also love how most of the characters that show up in this deck have masks. So it's kind of like when you're thinking of certain concepts around like identity or even something like unmasking, I feel like this deck always works so well in that way because while it's not all the characters that have masks, a lot of them do, so I like paying attention to where those show up in a reading. It's just really interesting, and this deck, it feels dramatic in the best kind of way. And I love it, it just makes me so happy. And this is one that kind of goes in and out of print, but it's sort of like, if you play the waiting game, you'll be able to get one kind of thing, you know? So, that is Madame Lydia Wilhelmina's Tarot. What is it? Monsters, Macabre, Falsines, something or other. Okay. Now, yes, we're just going to show one more here. And it is very brand new to me, but I had to show it because I have just been enjoying it so much. And it is Invoking the Goddess, Oracle and Action from Lisa de St. Croix, and her tarot deck, the Tarot de St. Croix, was in my top 10, and I love her artwork so much, and I feel like her style really shines in this Oracle, and I love everything about it, even the circle shape, and I'm not a fan usually of circular decks, but it works here. It almost feels like we're looking into this crystal ball to see these different goddess figures. But how it's laid out is you get the image of the goddess on the front and the message on the back. And we get sort of this message that is written as if it's directly spoken from the deity figure. And then we get a keyword and then this little write-up from, you know, that's kind of like the oracle message. But these are just so stinking beautiful. Like, so gorgeous. I can't stop using this deck. And the other thing I really like about it is I feel like it shows some goddesses that I haven't seen in the other decks that I have. Of course, there are definitely some, like, more common ones, but there was quite a few that were new to me. And I just, not that I know, like, tons and tons and tons, but I've got a few goddess decks at this point. So, like, I'll recognize names, and there was really quite a handful of these that I didn't know, and it was so exciting, because, you know, if I'm gonna have multiple goddess decks, I want them to each do something a bit different. And I've really been enjoying this one. Look at this Venus. How gorgeous is this? Doesn't it feel like you're looking into a crystal ball, or like, I don't know, like a Christmas ornament or something like that, and it's really neat to think of it that way. It has this almost like portal energy to it that I really enjoy. I'm so glad I got this one. It had been on my list for so long, and honestly the only reason I hadn't gotten it was because it's not very many cards. I think it's 33 cards for like $40. And so that was truly my only hold off, but now that I have it, I'm so glad I do, because I've just been using it so constantly. So that is my last deck I have to show for these runner-ups. There are many more indie decks that I love and enjoy, but these were just the ones that I kind of wanted to highlight in this runner-up section. I hope you enjoyed, but other than that, I hope you're all having a wonderful week. I'll see you again very soon.